Guys? Here we are. It's been a hot day today. I've been sweltering. Been under hot lights for a while. And now here I am again, painting under hot lights. Yeah, no matter how you slice it, you just can't get out from the lights. Funny how that works. Well, we're going to set things up with our usual colors. Need white, of course. Need a little ultramarine here. You know, our basics. Yeah, can't live without those basic colors. That alizarin crimson, ultramarine, and cadmium yellow. Those are the ones. God, I don't know how you live without them. I guess you could get by with a yellow ochre instead of cadmium yellow for a little while, but eventually you're going to need something a little brighter. Alright, I think we're pretty set here, minus any extra colors we're going to need. We'll probably need something, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I think I'm going to feel a little bit bad painting over all this, but honestly, the proportions that I had are not that bad, so maybe we won't have to do as much work because I just kind of have to paint some of the blue over this and then paint a little bit more flesh tone. I actually have to make this larger than what it actually is, which surprises me, but that's sometimes the way it goes. So let's start with a little violet because we gotta finish some of that pant color over there. And we're going to add a little yellow to that because it kind of skews more yellow than I think it does. I remember that from the other day when I was painting this, that this is a little bit more yellow than we think it is. A little bit more white, a little bit more yellow. And let's see how this looks. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. Might want a little bit more yellow in there. Now, it's a pretty neutral color. It's almost the same color as the mud pile that we're handling. I'm a little worried that my mud is getting a little dried out, but hopefully it's still workable for a little while here. It's still too light. Let's lighten that up slightly. Okay. Almost the right color here, I think. A little bit more blue ought to do it. Colors are... Getting that right value, getting that right color is such a trial, such a tribulation. God, you can agonize for hours over what just the right color is, and sometimes I do. God, I spend a lot of time thinking about different colors that are out there. That probably sounds weird to some people because, I mean, how many people really think about all the colors that are out there, like material colors and stuff? Like, you see colors that are on your monitor, but you don't really think about the colors that just exist out there in the world. All the stuff that industries use and everything, and I wonder, man, what's this place using for that color? Because sometimes you see different things painted different colors, and, well, usually you can hazard a guess what people are using for certain things because a lot of colors are pretty basic stuff. Like, industry tends to use a lot of the same colors most of the time. There's not that much variation out there. There's a little bit here and there depending on the uses, but generally, nah, not that much variation. Alright, I think we're coming upon a color that is going to be satisfactory. I think what I held up was just about the same tone as the pants over to the, on this grid to the right, and God willing, this color that we're about to do is going to look about right too on the grid over to the left of that one. Okay, this doesn't look too shabby. Maybe a little bit more blue. I don't know, nothing ever looks quite right, feels like. But this will be close enough because we have been mixing that for a little while now. So look at that color. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? A little bit. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to extend that over here too. I don't know. This color that we mixed up feels a little light. Yeah. Right about in there. We kind of indicated some things last time so that we'd have a guide for ourselves. The pants here are just so much darker than what I initially thought. That I feel like we have to insert this over to the side here too, just to get some things. Maybe we won't obliterate everything. Maybe we'll like use this as sort of a shadow color over the side here. It's not the worst idea because we didn't do a ton of work on things, and I just want to have a little bit of a darker color than what we had on there. I still think the color we used looks good. It just needs a little bit of a helping hand, if you know what I mean. I hope that I'm not losing sight of things here. I'm always afraid that I'm going to start painting things off camera. I'm going to go too wild. Yeah, I have a habit of doing that sometimes. Okay, this color over here, we're going to stop right about here for the leg. We're going to mark that, and then we're just going to curve this over this way. Yeah, there we go. Curve it over this way. Ooh boy. We actually made some marks over here to kind of give ourselves a little bit of an indication, but we want to extend it over to about yay far right there. And then, yep, here we go. Let's just move that up. Move it up and mark it. It helps as we're painting to give ourselves some guides, because you don't want to isolate. I've been saying this pretty much every video, but it's a bad idea to isolate every grid when you're painting using a grid. The grid is to help you transfer your drawing, but you can't let it isolate everything because you have to make the painting be cohesive. So you want to try and insert your colors, but at the same time start marking things so that everything looks about correct when you get it in later. So we're just marking that shape right there. It looks about what I want that proportion to be. Very surprising sometimes when you look at your drawing when you're using the grid style. This is why I would recommend using a grid when you're painting, because sometimes even when you think you have the right shape, the right size, you might get it wrong. You tend to get things more correct a little easier when things are smaller, but when you have a big painting like this, God, a grid helps so much. I remember when I was in elementary school, there's a kid that wanted to use a bunch of the teacher's paper to create a drawing of a big fat guy, and she said that if he used a bunch of different pieces of paper like that, he was going to look like a skinny guy, and the kid didn't believe her, and I don't think that she ever gave him the paper because she didn't want him to use all of her paper. But you know, sometimes I go back in my mind and I think about that and realize, you know, she's talking about proportions. The teacher wasn't an art teacher at all, but she still maybe knew a thing or two about proportions, so that's kind of cool. A lot of teachers out there that maybe don't know that much about art, which, you know, if you're not an art teacher, I guess ultimately why would they, right? You know, let's take a little bit of that gray, mix it into what we're doing here. I'm mixing up the flesh tone at this point, and I want something that's a little bit orangey. Right now it's a little gray, way grayer than I really need it to be. It is unfortunately gray. Let's brighten that up with some yellow, guys. All that gray is going to make our cadmium yellow more of an ochre color. Like, you see that right there? That's a little bit too yellow. That alizarin crimson is going to help us get it a little bit more fleshy. Alizarin crimson and cadmium yellow are a pretty good fast pass to a decent flesh tone color. A lot of people like using a yellow ochre, an earth yellow, to get that color, but really, you want to try something, I think, that has a little bit more brightness to it, because skin tends to be a lot brighter than you think it is. Like, people look at it and think it's dull, but it surprises you sometimes the colors that you see in skin. All the different colors out there. Because some people have like some bronze skin, some people have like slightly purple shades in their skin, some people just have green in there too. It depends. It really does. And it's always fascinating to see, guys. Alright, I think that maybe we're running into something here. Flesh tones are always like one of those hot button things that people have a hard time with. Like, people say I have so much trouble drawing people, and I remember hearing that a lot when I was in school, to the point where I said to some of them, well, you might want to work on that if you want to be like a working artist, because, I mean, there's one thing you're going to be asked to do as an artist, probably drawing people. A little bit. Portraiture is very popular, and just using figures in general is popular in art because people connect with it, right? And that's a truism right there. Okay, I'm going to clean off my brush a little bit. It's getting a little bit of paint on there. I mean, obviously. Oh, there's paint on the brush, you don't say. Yeah, sometimes I like listen to myself right as I say things, and I realize, boy, that was supposed to sound smart, and it really didn't. Okay. Well, we got kind of an earthy brown color here, and that's okay. It'll do the job. What we're really doing here is we're kind of marking down where we want this flesh tone to be, because about the top half of this is going to be flesh, and then the bottom half is going to be the same sheet that we've seen over to the right in those squares. So right about here is where I think we're going to mark things, and then we'll just bring this over this way a little bit, and cover up some of all this, or I guess a lot of all of this. That base flesh tone color we're using. It's kind of pretty, isn't it? A little bit. Alright, so right up here, we'll continue that. I hope that we're nailing this. Okay, things are looking pretty decent over here. Let's go up to about right here. Continue that. Boy, things are getting a little nerve-wracking here, aren't they? A little bit. That's okay. We'll bring this all the way over here, guys. Okay. There's going to be a lot more going on here than we think there is. Yeah. Realizing that the curve that I created might be a little too small. It's alright. That means we'll just make it larger. And then suddenly, we've got something we can work with. And then right in here, okay, and now that leg, that leg is finally large enough. Oh, buddy. That's a big leg. That's way more leg than I expected there to be. But yeah, that's about what we had to do. Sometimes you just gotta be willing to destroy your painting, guys. You can't hold your paintings too sacred when you're doing this. And believe me, it'll drive you a little bit crazy when you do it, but you'll be grateful with yourself in the long run. Alright, let's just take a little bit more of this paint here and draw where the division between, I think, all this is going to be. There's going to be a little bit of a division right there, and then right over here, because just this sheet is going to be, or this blanket rather, this blue blanket is going to be extended. Okay. Let's bring it all the way over here, guys. Alright. about there. Right about there. Yeah. About smack in the middle, right about there, is how far that sheet needs to come over. And we kind of want to reel it back a little bit. Alright. Now let's try to concentrate on some of the flesh stuff that's going on in here. Let's maybe take a little bit more yellow there. Get something a little brighter on our hands, maybe. I don't know. See how that looks. A little bit better. A little bit better. Just want to get something a little bit more yellowish going on. Maybe we'll add just a touch of the white. Okay, that's looking okay. Let's just put it in. Just throw it in, guys. Boom. Okay. Very, very ochre color. Very, very brown. If you guys don't know what ochre is, yellow ochre, it's a very popular artist color. It's a earth brown or an earth yellow that generally has a very, well, yellow cast to it, but it's very dull. Very, very dull, but it's very useful. A lot of oil painters use it. A lot of them love using it, and for good reason, because it's very thick, kind of does a lot of the same things cadmium yellow does, but at a much duller, God, I'm struggling to find the words here. It does it in a much duller way, a less intense way that feels a little bit more simpler to control. That's why people use it. I don't use that much yellow ochre these days, although sometimes I think about bringing it back, because I try to focus a lot on mixing things with all these impressionist style color mixes, and I'm always concerned about color harmony, which is why I decided, well, maybe we'll take it easy on all the earth colors for right now, so that we can have that intensity and also that color harmony, because sometimes it feels like the color harmony gets away from you when you do this sort of thing. If you start using too many earth colors all the time, if you lean on them all the time, and well, artists lean on them for a reason, because it makes it a little bit easier to paint with, but at the same time, yeah, I want that color harmony in my painting, so I just decide, well, let's go ahead and forget about them for a little while. Yeah, let's forget about those earth colors. Forget them earth colors. Who needs them? Yeah. Having some fun here with all this. I think I'm going to try inserting some real garish pinks. I'm just going to take some of my Alizarin Crimson and some of the color that I've been mixing over here and see what this looks like when we add a little white. Because, I don't know, man, Alizarin Crimson is just such a useful color. It's one of those colors you just can't let go of, guys, because it's so good at everything that requires flesh and all that. It's the color of blood. I mean, that sounds pretty metal, doesn't it? A little bit. Yeah. Sounds metal, but God, if you start painting with it, you'll know what I'm talking about, guys. Yeah, you'll get it. Alright, let's see what that looks like against all that. I think that might be ready for prime time right there. Let's go ahead and throw down some things. What the heck? Yeah. That's kind of an unexpected purple right there, but I think that's kind of nice. Kind of might have some good looks with it, especially considering that we're using the ultramarine over here. Okay, this is going to be kind of a obviously it's going to be a little bit more of a shadow color, right? So let's do exactly that. Let's just keep it a little bit more brown down here. Okay, that's pretty good. I like what we're doing there. And then up here we gotta have some more highlights, maybe some more yellowish type colors. Okay. let's go ahead and get some big highlights in here. Right up there is going to be a pretty bright one. It's going to be totally white? Probably not, but it's going to be pretty bright when we get up there. Okay. I think that might be close to what we're looking for, honestly. It's not looking too shabby. Alright. Let's throw it down, guys. Throw it down. Okay. God. These flesh tones, even with just as few colors as you use sometimes, or as few colors as I might use for flesh tones, sometimes they just look endlessly fascinating, don't they? Yeah. Just can't get enough of painting these things. Here, let's extend the brightness up in here, I think. You can see the value rising higher and higher, guys. Well, now that I think about it, we do want to, like, I'm starting to paint over my guideline for my ultramarine. That's okay. I'll paint the ultramarine, and maybe we'll paint the ultramarine in a little sooner rather than later so that we don't screw up again, but but yeah, this is oh buddy. Yeah, let's try to focus on that soon. Oh man. I think I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow into my white-ish color here just to add a little bit of variation. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool looking. I like that. Here, let's throw a little bit more of that right about there. And maybe get something over here. And I don't know, let's add a little something a little even more yellowish on the side. And maybe we'll add it like right there. Here, I don't know. How strident do I want this yellow? It's hard to say. Sometimes I'm real tempted to just do a whole dab of yellow. Like that. Ooh, that doesn't look bad. No. That doesn't look too shabby. Here, let's do another one. Oh yeah, guys. There it is. God. You know, take big risks with your paints, guys. If you feel yourself seized by inspiration, just go for it. See what happens. Sometimes you surprise yourself. Alright. Okay. I think I want a little bit more pink in there right now. It's getting a little heavy-handed with the yellow for a second there, but let's course correct and get more pink in the mix. Okay. Maybe down here. Alright. Alright, let's focus on the blue for a second, because that blue is kind of the elephant in the room at this point. Like, I know I'm going a little ham with flesh tones, and admittedly, we can just go wild on those all day. Flesh tones are endlessly fascinating, endlessly complex. You can run the whole gamut of colors and make a day of it. But I think that we kind of, I don't know, it feels like we kind of have the gist here. I guess we could just add a little bit more, like right in here or something. See, I'm just adding a little bit of white in that, and it's just brightening everything. Yeah, stuff like that. Sometimes you can just take paint right from the palette and mix it in. Mix it right on the canvas, and it's a bold move when you do that. You gotta be careful when you do that sort of thing, because, boy, sometimes things can go a little wild, but sometimes it makes it a little easier to, like, mix everything in and just get a little bit more cohesion between all your paints and everything. And as you can see here, kind of worked out in my favor there. Still got more leg to go because, boy, like I said, it's a big leg. It's a big leg. All right, let's roll some ultramarine here, guys. Now let's see what this looks like when we add some lighter color to it. It's gonna be a pretty heavy-handed ultramarine, I think. Call me crazy, but yeah. Ultramarine, one of those beautiful, beautiful colors. Okay, so we're looking for something that's maybe a little bit more. Actually, we might be looking for a little bit more of a greenish color than ultramarine has. I think I'm gonna go with my Prussian blue for right now, because I think that's the color that I'm looking for. It's funny how that works. You think you have it all figured out, but then, God, something outside of your range comes into your view and you have to figure out what to do with that. Do you just fudge the color, or do you add a new color to the mix? That's a hard decision sometimes when you're painting, because sometimes you'll be hesitant to just add colors in without screwing up your painting, because you do run the risk of just getting too many colors in the mix. Ideally, though, that doesn't happen. Ideally, you'll be just fine. But honestly, as long as you keep it down to around 9 colors or so, you'll be okay. There was a painter a little while ago that said that you should only use 6 colors, but I don't know. I guess if you're having a real hard time, sure, knock it down to 6 colors just to make it easy on yourself. Maybe you don't want to buy a bunch of colors and stuff, that's fine. Just knock it down to 6. 6 really important ones. And that'll help you get the best color harmony you've ever seen in your life. Alright. I think I'm getting a little bit I'm already getting a little bit closer to the color that I think I want. So, I guess you could say I am a little happier here. Yeah, we're getting there, guys. It's funny how Prussian blue was the color that I wanted all along. Yeah, it's kind of a greenish blue. Yeah, it's going to look real nice against that flesh tone later. I think we're just going to roll with this as it is. I don't know, this feels really, really nice. It's really, really pretty. Let me make sure I don't have anything contaminating my brush, at least too much. It's okay if we have a little bit of contamination on the brush, because then we get a few of the other colors that we're using into things and it starts to look a little bit more interesting, but we don't want to go too crazy with it. So, alright, so here goes. This is where we're going to make a few marks that are going to change the entire painting. There's our Prussian blue there. There's a little bit more this way. Okay. So, there's Prussian blue rearing its head and saying, don't know what's going on here, but things gotta change. And then here's Prussian blue again saying, don't make me tap the sign. Alright. This is getting a little thick here. Let's maybe just pull things down a bit. I don't know, guys. Yeah, this is okay. It's okay. Right about down in here. just around the middle of this. Right about here is where we're going to curve that. And boom, we are somewhere in that ballpark. It is wild how greenish this blue is looking. Gives it a real aged look, doesn't it? Prussian blue always has that kind of look to it. Alright. I bet Prussian blue is real happy right now. Like I'm talking like Prussian blue has a whole personality. I don't know, sometimes you go a little crazy when you're painting and you just decide to assign personality traits to your colors. I'm sure there's a name for that kind of condition, but I don't know what it is. What do I know about science? It's like J.M.W. Turner said to Winsor and Newton a while back when they criticized him using so many fugitive colors at the time. Your business is to make color. My business is to use them. Indeed, if they didn't want to make those fugitive colors, maybe they shouldn't have. Of course, Winsor and Newton doesn't make all that many fugitive colors now. They make a few, I think. If you guys are wondering what a fugitive color is, that means a color that changes over time. Realizing when I'm saying all this aloud that a lot of people out there might not have a clue what I'm talking about. And I don't want to get too specific for people out there so that they can't enjoy what we're talking about right now. But yeah, fugitive color is a color that fades over time or turns brown or has some kind of change to it. Something that makes it not the color that it's supposed to be. That's about the gist of it right there. So, I did say that we're going to wind up using a little ultramarine here, and I'm not a liar. We are going to use a little bit of ultramarine, but I think we're going to use a little bit of Prussian too. Prussian is going to make this a little bit easier. Looks like Prussian and ultramarine are doing a little bit of tag teaming right now. It's alright. Here, let's wipe off the knife, I think, guys. Just so that we don't get too contaminated here. I think alizarin crimson is going to get in on this. What the heck? Alright, I might be pretty close to a color that I'm looking for. This is going to be a weird color because it's got a little bit of Prussian, a little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of alizarin crimson, and it's lightened a little bit by white. But I feel like it's the right color. And this is going to be like this shadow fold over here that we're looking for. It's going to go right in there, guys. Right about there. Yep, that's about right. Okay. And we'll just bring this over this way a little bit. Okay. Right about right there. That's where that fold goes there. And then another one goes down here. Right to about yay far. Okay. And mark my words, this is going to get more and more interesting as we go. Yeah. I think there's going to be a little bit of some sap green in this. Feels like there's sap green in everything, doesn't there? Yeah, maybe a little bit. You just can't get away from that sap green sometimes, guys. Okay. So, that's the point where I think we should probably use all that very light Prussian to try and get some good highlights in here. Or some good shadow colors, excuse me. And so concentrated on down here, we're going to get some of that. Yeah. There's a sort of shadow right in there. Let's look for something else too. Maybe it goes right up here too. Just like that. Yeah. God, we're having too much fun. Yeah, that happens when you oil paint. Let's try to keep this to like, I don't know, 3 tones or something. Otherwise we're going to go crazy doing this. Maybe we'll rely on our mud slightly here. It would be a good idea. Got a hair in my mud, guys. Another hair. Oh boy. Those hairs just kind of appear out of nowhere. At the time, I don't know where they come from. Must have been while I wasn't paying that much attention. Alright. Yeah, this mud might be getting a little dry. I might have to scrape this off and just let it go soon. Because I don't know about some of this stuff, guys. You don't want to be painting with paint that's getting a little too old for its own good. That's no good, guys. Oh. We've been painting every day, too, so it is a little sad to see when the paint decides, yeah, you know what? I don't know about this. This is a little dark, too, so we should lighten it up. Yeah, I might have to just throw this away. Yeah, it hurts a little bit, but sometimes you just gotta throw the paint away. You can't salvage everything. We can say that we tried, and it's not like we didn't use any of the mud to make things, because I used a lot of the mud to make certain lines and stuff on the grid. So we put it to good use, right? Yeah. You gotta look at the positive side of things. Look at the positive side of what you did. You could get down on yourself, or you could say, you know what, we actually did some pretty cool stuff here. Let's take some of the flesh tone color and mix it into this, because I think that maybe some of the flesh tone is kind of getting into the shadows of this, which is not that crazy, actually. Yeah, I think we might be onto something here. Okay. I thought I was onto something. Guys, maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, I thought I had something there. God. It's okay. We'll find it. We'll find it, guys. Maybe with a little bit of yellow in there. Alright, I think this might work, actually, because it's kind of a dull blue-green color. Maybe that's what I was looking for. God. Alright, let's try this color out for size and see how it fits in with everything. You know, guys, sometimes, like I say, sometimes colors do surprise you. Case in point. Okay. All of this is subject to change. None of this is set in stone. We can always go in and mess around with things later, guys. Remember that. You don't have to marry yourself to color choices. You can go in and change them anytime you want. So don't feel bad if you go in and decide, you know that thing there? I don't know if I liked it. It's perfectly normal to not like something. Not that I don't like what I'm doing right now, but I'm just giving myself permission right now to go in and change things later. Okay. Alright. Now maybe we'll take... God. something else here. Looks like we need another color here. Maybe something a little bit light-ish. Something that's not too light, but not too dark either. Maybe this is it. Okay. Right about here. Right about that fold right there. Okay. And some ultramarine right in there. Just pure ultramarine. Boom, boom. Okay. That's good. Now, let me just see what this looks like. I had to try and put some more just ultramarine patches in here. It's hard not to do it with this color. It's hard not to find excuses to use ultramarine, guys. I'll say any excuse to use ultramarine is a good one. Okay. Of course, I'm running out of good excuses to use it now. So we'll just go with some of this other color that we have whipped up right here, right there. No big deal. No big deal. Cool. I'm going a little ham, aren't I? Yeah, a little bit. I'm going a little bit wild on this one. Alright. We can focus on all of this maybe later. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going. Oh, jeez. Sometimes you get going, it's hard to stop. You know what I mean, guys? Yeah, if you ever start painting, I don't know how many of you guys out there are actually painting and stuff, but if you ever start painting, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is hard to stop when you get going, because you just want to keep doing things to your painting, and it drives you crazy if you don't. But we have this painted enough where we could conceivably say, all right, well, we got enough of it. We got enough of it. But God, that is looking real pretty, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's looking real nice, guys. Let's go ahead and scrape off the palette a little bit here so we can, I think at the end of this session, like I said, we're going to scrape off the gray that we've been using, the mud gray, and we're just going to start fresh because the color is getting a little dried out. If you want to prevent your colors from drying out, I would say go ahead and put your paints in the freezer because that will prevent oxidization of the paints. Now, that's not a guaranteed fix, but it does help slow down the drying. Some colors just dry faster, guys. Yeah, they just dry a little bit faster. So be aware of that. We haven't really talked much about me today. or maybe, well, I probably have, and I just haven't really been thinking about it. I went to get my passport today, or not my passport, but I went to get my passport picture. So that was kind of fun. Mostly because, well, it sounds pretty mundane, and it is pretty mundane. It is pretty mundane. But what made it interesting was the instructions on the site said to wear a white or blue shirt or something like that. Just like a little bit of a nicer quote-unquote shirt, right? And so I did. I put on a shirt that was a little bit nicer. Not too nice or anything. But I put on a white shirt. So I got there, and they said, that's not going to work against our background. And I'm just looking at them going, well, you said put on this and that shirt. So I put on a white shirt. And they said, you're going to disappear against our white background. Wasn't really any reasoning with them. They just were like, no, not going to work. So that was interesting. I had to go and change my shirt so that I could get my passport taken. I got it done. But, that was interesting, to say the least. I was mildly annoyed, guys. I really was. God. Having to go and change my shirt and all that. That was dumb. Of course, the passport photo turned out awful. Oh, boy. But when do passport photos ever turn out good? Let's be honest, guys. I would like to know if anyone has a good passport photo. I strongly doubt it. Nobody does. Nobody. I refuse to believe that anybody has a good passport photo. In every nation, everybody has the worst passport photo you've ever seen. You could take the most beautiful person in the world, but turn them over to someone who makes passports, they'll make them look ugly as sin. Brother. Oh, man. Facts, though. Alright, guys. I'm just going to kind of cover all this in my sap green and white mix. I don't know. Something about this just kind of works. What is it about the white and the sap green going together and making all this that just makes it look so nice? I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's crazy. Like, we don't want too green. But undeniably it looks good. I don't even know if you guys can tell that that's green. But that is green, guys. That is green. It's a very, very light green. But that is green. Good thing we have a lot of coverage on this. Okay, let's maybe not obliterate that line quite yet. Maybe, I don't know. It's hard to decide sometimes when you want to obliterate the line, but we'll make some decisions maybe pretty soon here. Maybe I'll decide to do it right now. No. Okay, this is fine. So, obviously we don't really have any highlights on this or anything. That's whatever. Mostly we just have a bunch of darks at this point. And that's alright. There. There's a little curve from this that's coming in right here. We'll just give that a little something. Oh man, this is looking pretty already, guys. This is looking nice. God, all these colors are just kind of playing off each other, isn't it? I mean, obviously we got to do some work down here, but man, it's not looking bad so far, guys. Things are looking pretty nice on this end. Okay, let's maybe just take a little bit more of that Prussian blue. because, you know, we've been doing a lot with the Prussian blue so far on some of these highlights here. Might as well keep doing what we're doing, right? I mean, we've got this much Prussian blue. How about a little bit more? Yeah, how about it? We'll just very lightly graze our Prussian blue, and that's often enough to just get it going. It's oftentimes more than enough. Prussian blue, one of the most powerful colors there is. Maybe that's why I value it so much. You know, I never go out to the store that much anymore, it seems like. Sometimes I kind of miss going to the store and just, I don't know, seeing what they got and all that. Every so often I like to go to Hobby Lobby. Every so often I like to go to Dick Blick and just see what they got. I don't know if the people at Dick Blick know me or not. Probably not. They got more important things going on in their lives than, you know, Soul Keeper. To put it mildly. I think I'm pretty low on their list of priorities. I would be extremely surprised if anyone knew who I was. And I've never really had anyone recognize me out in the wild. But never say never, guys. We'll see what happens. Okay. Alright, right around there. Start getting some of that in, and that's looking pretty okay, honestly. It's a little bit brighter just like I wanted, but it's also kind of blending into things. Alright. And still got that kind of blue tint to it, which is what I wanted. Looking for a very light blue tint. That light blue tint is working for me right now. Okay. And maybe we'll Alright. I don't know. How much more do we really want to do here? Hard to say. But we'll add a little something. Ooh, I felt a little bit of the blue come in there. A little too much of that blue coming in there. That's alright. I think it gives it character. Here, I'll add a little bit of white to it. There. Trying to decide if some of these highlights would be better served by maybe a yellow or not. I don't know. We can make some decisions later on and see how we feel from there. Let's maybe insert some yellow into this. A little cadmium yellow, guys. Yeah. Still going to be pretty light, but cadmium yellow will do us well. It certainly has up to this point, hasn't it? Yeah, let's throw a little bit right in there. Just to liven it up a little bit, maybe a little bit over in here. There. And then maybe a little bit over in here. Yeah. That gives it a little bit more flavor. A little bit more of a shine, doesn't it? Yeah. throw some over here too. I don't know, I'm just feeling it. Boom, boom. Okay. That's probably about good for right now, guys. That's not looking too bad. That's, this painting, it's not done, but it's really coming together, and the composition just keeps looking better and better. We definitely need to get rid of this paint, guys. Let's, wipe off the brush, clean off the knife, and, well, I guess we don't have to clean off the knife quite yet, because we still have one big thing we gotta do. We need to scrape off this palette, because the paint is getting, the gray on it is getting a little old. So let's just wipe the slate clean, guys. As clean as we possibly can. Oh man. A lot of color on here. It's okay. It's okay. But it is getting old, and it's gotta go. You guys probably don't really realize, but I got this big puddle right here, and yeah, it's gone about as far as it can possibly go. I have tried so hard with it, and it's been pretty useful. I mean, it's always useful when you have this color mixed up, but it's getting so chunky that that's not going to be good. So, wipe it clean. Yep, wipe it clean, guys. Now with some nice new paint on our side, we'll be able to do something a little bit better, I think. This will probably be dry tomorrow because Prussian blue and phthalo dry pretty quickly. And the sap green is made with a phthalo color, so it'll dry really, really fast. Okay. Got a little bit of cadmium in my finger there. It's a tale as old as time. Soulkeeper got paint on his hands. In other news, the sun is shining. And tomorrow's another day. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.